Welcome to Jurassic Park.
You're gonna need a bigger boat.
Why don't we just wait here for a little while?
Do you want to know what it is?
There's no knowing where you might be swept off to.
Help me, Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're my only hope.
Shepherds we shall be, for thee, my Lord.
I don't know. I'm making this up as I go.
There's a special rung in hell reserved for people who waste good scotch.
He peed on my rug!
He peed on the dude's rug.
Do your worst.
Final report, the commercial starship Nostromo.
Roads? Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Welcome to your feature presentation. I am your host, Heath Fall. Today we are talking Abigail, the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, and Spy X Family Code White. Joining me today is Andrew McKay.
Spring has sprung, so let's roll out the red carpet for some bloomin' good movies. Greetings, everyone.
Bloomin'? Like from Outback
Bloomin'.
Steakhouse?
Like the onions. The onions are bloomin'.
Beautiful.
No, that was a fun spring-themed greeting via our close personal friend, ChatGPT
Nice.
3.5.
Oh,
Wow.
they've upgraded.
3.5 specifically. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not paying for 4. Never.
No, it's ridiculous.
Anyway, yes, we're talking Abigail. We're talking Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare and Spy X Family Code White. However, question of the day first, shall we?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. I do have an answer before I ask you this question.
Okay.
So we won't have to make them wait for next time.
Perfect.
But what was the first movie that you remember watching and recognizing that movies were not just entertainment, but an art form?
Whoa. Okay,
Yeah.
awesome. All right, give your answer and I'll think.
Okay, so I'll give some context as well so that maybe you can think a little harder. Growing up, movies were pure entertainment, right? Disney movies, Star Wars movies, whatever they were, cartoons. And I remember the first time that I watched a movie, like by halfway through, all the way to the end of, it was a Wes Anderson movie. It's the camping one. Dang, I can't believe I forgot the name of it. Moonrise Kingdom. That's so embarrassing. Watching Moonrise Kingdom, I realized that even though it is entertaining, that there can be art styles and aesthetics applied to movies, and that just enhances and it enhanced the experience for me. Like, it seemed like it was its own little world, and I just loved it a lot.
Oh, that's a great answer. I also have an answer, and I will tell it to you now. I started thinking, it's so funny that you asked it first and then answered, because I got my chance to my brain just going. The first thing I thought about was there's a really cool documentary called Spielberg, and it's on Steven Spielberg, and he talks about the first movie that influenced him, and it was Lawrence of Arabia. He's like, that was the first movie that I watched in the theater that I was like, I want to watch that again. And he just talks about it. It's a really cool documentary. But I was like, that's the first thing I thought of. And I was like, what movie was it that made me want to delve deeper and ask questions, not kind of like what you were saying, not just on entertainment value. And I think for me, the first thing that stuck out was Shaun of the Dead. It's a movie.
Interesting.
Yeah. So I watched it in college, and it's with Simon Pegg and Nick Frost are the stars.
Yep.
And I started, then we talked about it as roommates, like me and a couple guys. I had 3 roommates, and we talked about just this is this director, and these 2 guys are actually also in Hot Fuzz, and it's the same director, Edgar Wright. And so then I started kind of searching out his stuff and realizing he had done a TV show, and I don't know, it was just, you kind of delve deeper into someone like that.
Yeah.
And I was just realizing, he has a style. He has a vibe. And I think that's what made me think of it is an art, how he does transitions, kind of diving into, and that was kind of the first time I was like, oh, directors have a lot to do with movies. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's amazing.
So yeah, that definitely got me hugely, hugely excited.
Wow.
But yeah,
That makes me think about when directors work with the same people all the time. Like Denis Villeneuve, who did Dune 2, seems like he enjoys working with Dave Bautista, or like insert one or two other actors. Like Dave Bautista was in Blade Runner, and he was in the last two Dune movies. Um, that's just another thing that like I didn't realize that. Like, I mean, it sounds silly, but like when I was a teenager, I didn't realize that like directors, like truly what they did, and that it was like implementation of their vision into cinema.
Hmm.
So it was cool.
Yeah, it makes me think of like Cillian Murphy with Christopher Nolan.
Yeah, that's a
Um,
great example.
And I saw an interview too with Christopher Nolan as he was trying to think about who he wanted to play Oppenheimer. And he brought up that fact that like he had worked with Cillian Murphy so many times. He was like, that's the guy I know can do this. And
Mhm.
that's kind of cool too, that it's not even just like, all right, people just trying to get a part. It's like they go to an actor because like I've worked with this guy before. I know what he can do. And I think he can do this level, which is cool because like I think Batman Begins was the first movie Cillian Murphy was in for Christopher Nolan. And
Oh,
it was a small part, smaller part. And it was just kind of cool to see him develop. And in Inception, he's like kind of a background character, not one of the main, but it's just like cool to
Mhm.
see like something elevated like that, like a relationship grow over movies.
yeah,
Um,
very cool.
Sweet. Well, what a great opening question, man.
Oh, I agree. Thank you.
That was a good question
You know
I
what?
asked.
I am pretty cool, aren't I? Well,
You're the coolest, man.
yeah.
All right, let's jump into some movies. You want to read us some synopses?
Yeah, so we got Abigail. After a group of criminals kidnap the ballerina daughter of a powerful underworld figure, they retreat to an isolated mansion, unaware that they're locked inside with no normal little girl. Horror movie, but horror comedy, I'm pretty sure. Would you say
Yeah.
that's accurate?
Yeah, watching the trailer, I mean, should we spoil what's in the trailer or should we hold that?
I feel like the trailer is fine. Like
Okay.
most people will go into trailer warning, trailer spoilers. No, most people are fine like watching a trailer, and also if you've seen a movie recently, you've probably seen the trailer for this movie.
Right. So in the trailer, they spoil it, which is, I wish they wouldn't have because that would have been a super fun twist, but it kind of feels like a standard house, like that's owned by the elite doing something weird movies. And I'm going to reference another movie that he also directed called
Wow.
Ready or Not. He did, director Tyler Gillett did that too. And it's kind of similar. It feels the same as that, but it's very different because in the trailer, they have this little girl and she's chained up. And then they find out that she is a vampire. So she's a vampire ballerina. And
Amazing.
yeah, it's like, oh, I wish they would have saved that. But at the same time, it's like, oh, that makes me want to like, oh, this is a different kind of movie even than this director's done.
Yeah, that's an interesting decision because I totally agree with you. I was in the movie theater watching the trailer for the first time and thought, oh, this is kind of like it's just like a heist movie. Like no real names. We're all leaving here once we get our money, never to see each other again. And I'm like, ooh, this is like La Casa de Papel season 1. Um, really good heist show. And then I was torn. I was like, does the little girl vampire make me want to go see it because it's not what I thought it was? Or would I have rather wanted, like, waited for that twist? But I feel like the twist is so early in the movie that it probably isn't the only crazy thing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what I was assuming. It's like, I bet we're going to get this within the first half hour for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
If not sooner.
sure.
Like the movie might even start that way. So I don't know. But yeah, so that looks fun.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's a 2 director system. So Tyler Gillett, he did Scream, Scream 6, Ready or Not, VHS, like quite a lot there.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of those movies? Enjoyed any of those?
Scream. Um, I've I remember when VHS came out. And what year was that? Do you have that?
For
I just
which,
remember
which movie?
VHS.
2012.
Yeah, I was not into scary movies in 2012.
Right. But were
So,
you into VHS types?
yeah, I mean, I was only like 3 years old. So at that point, I just started watching movies.
Yeah, and I think it's time we reveal the truth, Andrew, that you suffer from Benjamin Button's disease. And
I do.
When I met you, you were a 40-year-old man, but unfortunately you've
Yeah.
been. But it's weird because your condition, you actually jump around a lot because like you were 3
Oh,
in
it's so
2012.
sporadic. Yeah.
So it's kind of like every birthday, it's kind of like someone rolls a dice and just like, what age is he's going to be?
It's a D20. I'm never older than 20 years old, which in some respects is really terrible.
Yeah.
Man. Anyway, we have Spy Family Code. What? I'm sorry, I said that so wrong. Spy X Family
Yes.
Code
uh-huh.
White.
So, and you're not familiar with this, right? I'm
No,
not familiar
no.
with this series either. It's an anime
The,
series. Yeah, do you have a synopsis?
Well, yeah, the synopsis, I watched the trailer and the synopsis seems like a weird synopsis to have, so I'm going to read it. After receiving an order to be replaced in Operation Strix, Lloyd decides to help Anya win a cooking competition at Eden Academy by making the director's favorite meal in order to prevent his replacement. And that is not the movie that I watched a trailer for. Like the characters are named those names. But I just
Weird.
cannot. Yeah. So I'm gonna read a different one. I thought that was silly. That's the top summary. He's a spy. She's an assassin. Together, Lloyd and Yor keep their double lives to themselves while they're pretending to be the perfect family. However, their adopted daughter Anya, a telepath, knows both of their exciting secrets unbeknownst to them. I think that's a better synopsis.
Yeah. So I saw a comment on the trailer, and I haven't seen Spy Family. It's a TV series as well.
Yeah.
But the guy was like, "Cool, Spy X Family does a heist movie." I'm like, "Okay, I feel like that's a good a good use of what
Yeah.
what you would see in this movie." So, yeah, I don't know, not a huge draw for me personally, just because I haven't seen the series. But if you like the series, that's cool, and it does seem like it's a standalone movie, so you should be able to enjoy it on its own as well.
Yeah, I agree. Always a fan of an anime movie. So might get a watch from me someday. Okay, last one. The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. The British military recruits a small group of highly skilled soldiers to strike against German forces behind enemy lines during World War II. Thoughts? What do you think?
Beautiful. Yeah, it looks super fun. The trailer is, it's hard to say. So Henry Cavill is one of the main guys in it. There's a lot of other fun
Alan
actors.
Richardson. Do you know that guy? Alan
No,
Richardson?
I don't.
Oh, he's the giant dude with glasses.
Oh, there you go.
Like the completely yoked guy. He's recently has done Reacher on Prime Video, and he's gotten a
Oh,
lot of
yeah.
attention from that. Like jokes of people saying like, "Hey, text your dad and ask him how far he is into Reacher," because every suburban white dad is watching this show. But him and Henry Cavill intrigued me because I feel like they're usually typecast. They're signed on to a movie to play a certain character, and I feel like these two are playing very different characters from what I usually expect or from I usually see of them. So that's exciting.
Yeah, and it's got I apologize, I don't know how to say her name, but Eliza Gonzalez, probably.
Gonzalez? Yeah.
So she was I know her from Baby Driver. She was like the female thief. So that's cool to see her in it. Carl Elwes, the guy from Princess Bride.
Oh yes.
Yeah, he's in it.
And Robin Hood Men in Tights.
Yeah.
Carrie Elwes? Carl. Do you
Carrie
need glasses?
Yeah, I do need glasses. My computer, it's so slow. I'm trying to it's like loading. I feel like it's like the old school, like it's loading as I scroll kind of thing.
You're
And I'm
kidding.
like, I know. I'm barely kidding.
Only
Um,
slightly. joking.
Yeah.
Yeah, Carrie Elwes.
Yeah, and so this is a Guy Ritchie directed movie, which he's done a lot of stuff. So it's very, I think, once again, it's on kind of par for him as a director. I almost brought him up as your question today because I was like, that kind of made me think of someone who else you wanted me to realize more that, like, not even as an art form, but just movies have style for certain reasons, you know? But man, I love Guy Ritchie. Like Sherlock Holmes, Snatch, Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels, The Man from U.N.C.L.E.
The Man from U.N.C.L.E. Oof.
The Gentleman, The Covenant, Wrath of Man. Yeah, he's done a lot of really cool stuff. Like, it's just, man, and Snatch is definitely, I just talked to somebody about Snatch the other day. I was like, oh, that's such a good movie.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, I love Snatch. It's
I don't know if I know anything about that movie.
Oh, Snatch? Oh, it's really good. That's another rabbit hole. But it's like,
Let's see, 2000. Yeah, I wasn't even born yet. I'm just kidding.
right. Well, I think you were not born the year prior, and I think you were 27. Or no, you can only be 20, right? So you were 20 the next year.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Whoops.
But yeah, so do you know any Guy Ritchie films? Are you a fan of his?
Big fan of The Man from U.N.C.L.E. That I think is my favorite spy movie.
Oh yeah.
Like I will watch that over any James Bond movie. I don't know why I love it so much, but the music is great. The style of it is great. Acting's great. I almost watched King Arthur one time, but that doesn't count. So whoops. But The Gentleman is on my mental list to watch.
That's a good one.
I haven't made it around to that one yet.
Yeah, King Arthur, the Legend of the Sword. It's the Charlie Hunnam. It's weird. I like it, but it's very stylistic, and it didn't get great reviews. But I think it's one of those movies. Like, it's a very visual movie. It's like, oh, that's a very interesting experience, you know. One of his lower rated movies, because he's pretty consistent, honestly, with a lot of his movies. But that's a fairly big dip for him. But yeah, so that would be that's another good director doing a good movie.
Yeah.
Like I don't think you could go wrong with this movie. And this movie in particular, it looks like it's like a World War II kind of. I mean, you know, we talked about not typecasting types of movies, but it feels like kind of like Inglourious Bastards meets Guardians of the Galaxy in World War II, Guy Ritchie, you know, kind of something like that vibe, like the group.
Which is so fun. That sounds so fun to me.
Yeah. Sounds like a delightful time.
Yeah.
Awesome. So what movie is getting your ticket this weekend? What would you go see?
I think The Ministry would probably get my ticket. I know everyone here knows Andrew likes a good horror movie, as long as it's post 2012, apparently. So Abigail is close up there, but I think The Ministry not only would be really fun to go see, it'd be very fun to go see with my wife. He'd fall. I think you do that joke probably once every 24 hours.
I hate it. It's a joke. Like, I don't like that movie. I don't like that quote, and it's in my brain every day. I'm like, Sacha Baron Cohen, curse you.
A genius. Anyway,
It's super fun. Super good.
I feel like if I was going to go see Abigail, I would end up going to see that alone, and The Ministry. I think both of us would have a really fun time going to see it. What about you?
Yeah, same. I'm like, Abigail almost gets it just because it's another unique thing, but just like, I feel like Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, like, I feel like you'd miss out if you didn't see it. You know, it's like, I think if I was going to go see, I would go see this movie in the theater, and then I'd like stream Abigail later when it comes out. I think that'd be my plan. So
there's something about a horror movie in your own home that I prefer.
Ooh.
I've seen many horror movies in the theater, but I always prefer to watch scary movies like in my basement at my house.
Yeah, no, that's kind of interesting. I'd say the same. That's typically where I watch through, and I think it's for me as well. Like, horror movies were not a part of my like younger days, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like I'm just more used to like going back through watching old horror movies or slasher movies, and yeah, same. I'm kind of more used to just watching those in the basement, you know.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Wow.
Oh, cool. All right, well, that's what we're going to see. We recommend Guy Ritchie's The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare. To close
What a great
out,
weekend.
yeah, looks like a great weekend. To close out, I want to bring up a movie called, speaking of streaming, Roadhouse.
Uh-oh.
So you have not seen Roadhouse, correct?
Oh, correct.
Okay, so I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was a really interesting thing that happened, and I'd love to hear your take on it. So it's okay if you haven't
Okay.
seen the movie. But what happened was it came out on streaming on Amazon Prime. It's a remake of the Patrick Swayze 80s movie, the same name, same premise. And I'd enjoy talking about the movie, but we don't even need to talk about it here because it was a movie. It's by the director. If you want to look this up, Andrew, the director of The Bourne Identity for me, that'd be great.
Oh, Doug Lyman.
Oh, there you go. Perfect. You looked it up that fast. That's how fast you are.
I did.
You just know that. I love that. So it was directed by him, and he intended and was told that this movie was going to be made by Amazon Studios, that he was making it for them, and that it was going to be a wide release theater movie.
Okay, so Amazon like breaking into like wide release movies like Apple did with Killers of the Flower Moon,
Yes. Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Okay.
And Amazon had this big release about these are the movies that we're going to make and they're going to come in theaters and blah, blah, blah. So he thought it was going to be shown in theaters. And then what happened was they put it straight on streaming. And so they had, I think, South by Southwest. That was the premiere. And that's the only time it's been shown in a theater.
Weird.
So there's a really interesting interview that I can link into this video as well. But the director's like talking how he's like, this was not my intent. He was like boycotting the South by Southwest viewing at first. And he was showing in the video, he shows different like spaces where he's mixing different movies. And like, this is where I mixed this movie. And this is where, you mix a movie to be played in the theaters, like the sound, and everything.
Mhm.
And then he shows like a smaller room, like this is where you mix a movie that's going to be streamed. And it's just like this whole idea that it was intended to be in the theater. He wanted it to be in the theater. And then it was put straight to streaming.
Man, that's hard. That's rough.
Yeah. And I would love to see, we're in this new streaming era, and I feel like we don't have a ton of background, like what's this going to do? But it can't make as much money, like a subscription that costs you $15, $20 a month that you can watch this for free. That can't make as much money as a theater that costs you $15, $20 to see it once. Like,
Yeah.
like, I don't know. It just like, yeah. What do you think about that? Movies skipping and going to streaming and vice versa.
You bring up like the financial aspect, and that's not something that I would have thought about initially. But yeah, I mean, you go and see a movie in the theaters with your buddies. Let's say it was three of us. There's $20 tickets round the table, like for three people. So you're generating revenue for that movie by doing that. But if we were to go see the movie at my house, because I have whatever subscription, nobody's like generating more revenue. The revenue is being generated regardless of if I watch this movie or not. And I feel like the views are, what's the word? Quantified by popularity, and that's how they deem the success. So streaming movies, again, I don't know this, but I don't feel like streaming movies make a ton of money. They draw people to the app, which could generate money, especially if you're running ads like most of the streaming services are doing now, which could be a conversation we have. But really, like I feel like the money maker for a movie is in a theater. However, my initial thought was how weird that is to um like put a director through that. Like, hey, make me. I mean, should a movie be the same? Like, do you want the same quality? Do you want like cinema quality in a streaming platform for your movie? Yes, I think. Um, but to not be transparent seems really weird. What were your initial thoughts?
Yeah, it does seem weird. And it's hard too because it's a company and maybe they did have a change of thought. Like I want to give a benefit
Sure.
of the doubt that they didn't like outright lie, or
Yeah,
anything.
that's
But
yeah, that's fair.
you don't know. Maybe they did and they're like, no, we have no intention. But just this whole idea right now of trying to pull stuff to streaming is really, I feel like, hurting at least the setup of the movie industry right now.
Yeah.
Okay, if we need a shakeup, that's cool. And it's just like make good movies. And then something like make a movie worth that you have to go see it, like a Dune or
Mhm.
even Godzilla. It's like, go see this movie in theater. That's the experience you need to have.
Mhm.
But then it's also tough too, because then even during this talk, I was like, oh, I'll just probably wait till Abigail's on streaming,
Right, yeah.
Um,
It's such a cultural thing now.
yeah. So I don't
But
know. That's
honestly, I think that I would rather like every movie goes into the theater, and if you want to see it there, you see it there. Or you can wait. It seems so weird to say, but like I miss um the event of acquiring a movie somehow. Like even Redbox, like I don't know, during the couple years where Redbox was huge before Netflix like super took off, it was still an event. Like, hey, let's go to the Redbox and get a movie. Like, let's go to our local video store and get a movie and watch a movie. Um, that seems so much better than the streaming uh system. And I think I'm just getting really tired of uh all the streaming platforms, and you have to pay for all of them, but now all of them also have ads even though you pay them directly for the services. And it's like, okay, so we have 5 or 6 different streaming platforms we pay for. Um, what am I using them? So then I think that if it probably wasn't like an intentional, we're gonna make this movie and we're not gonna put it in the theater. Haha, got him.
yeah.
It was probably like we have to fight 5 other companies for the evening hours across the country, across the world. And the best way we can do that is put this big movie directly on our platform, and that's going to pull people away from Netflix, away from Hulu, and get them onto our app. Um, and it just seems weird, and I'm getting really tired of it. Honestly, uh, we do one streaming platform at a time. Like we get one for a month, and then if we're over it by the end of the month, then we just cancel it.
Yeah, that's probably the best way to do it. I think they're slowly trying, it's slowly becoming cable. Like you cancel your
Yeah,
cable.
absolutely.
And then it's like, oh, but now you have 7 subscriptions and it's actually more money than it was just to
Mhm.
have cable. And I don't know, it's tough because a lot of it is like, is it just nostalgia that I miss going to Blockbuster?
That's fair.
Like it was harder to get movies, but at the same time, streaming gets so expensive too. And it's like, I don't know, just buying a movie, which that's another topic for another time because I'd love to talk
Oh,
about
surely.
buying physical media as well. But yeah, so I think let's wrap it up here. Angie, you want to take
Great.
us home today?
Yes. Folks, thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you. Thanks for listening to us. Hopefully you go see a movie this weekend. As always, you can find our show, full video show on YouTube, and podcast format anywhere you get podcasts. You can follow us on Instagram, like and share, and send the messages of our posts to all of
Send
your
all of the
friends.
messages, all
Yeah,
of them.
Direct every time we post, direct message it to 5 people. And I will send you a personalized voice memo.
Whoa. What are you going to say in the
Ooh.
voice memo?
Uh-oh, are we hinting at a Patreon? What's going on right now? No.
I would love it if you just like your personal voice memo is just Hey.
Hey. Hello, insert name. It's like ASMR.
It's beautiful. Sweet. Well, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for joining. Go watch The Ministry.
Go see any movie, Keith.